Hello everyone, the Victoria is here and welcome to this video. I started to work on the Stardew Valley in 3D project of mine and I needed a doormat material for Willy's doormat and I couldn't find anything that would be useful, and I figured that I am going to do my own material for Willy's doormat. And I chose Material Maker. I found a great rubber ground tutorial for Substance Designer, which was really helpful. And I also studied a rusted fence frame material. Both the links for the video and the material can be found in the description beneath the video. And this is what I came up with. And even though I am quite a beginner when it comes to Material Maker, I decided that I'm going to do a video about it just in case it is going to be helpful for someone. So I needed a doormat that has like this frame around it. Rusted fence frame material. This SD box is used there to create a frame for the fence. And even though that is more sophisticated, so I highly recommend checking that out. I just needed a simple rectangle, and with this SD box, a rectangle can be generated quite easily. The SD shows this sign distance function, and now you can see we've got a nice uh, gradient around a white rectangle. The gradient width is determined by this bevel value. Now I added a tonality here to create a mask from this because I wanted to make sure that this whole frame around the doormat appears like it was damaged. And I grabbed a warp 2 noise and blended with this rectangle with this tonality mask, and in this way it's only affected the frame of this doormat. And now I created a tone step uh, to create a mask for the internal part for the doormat. So how is that has been created? So first of all, we need circles because I decided that I wanted this sort of circly pattern here. Then we have to repeat it, and I tiled it 48 times, both vertically and horizontally. But the scale is a bit less, just to make sure that there is a bit of a space between these circles. Then I Gaussian blurred it, and the Gaussian blur can have noise to it in the strength math pattern or parameter, because in this way it introduces some irregularities for these circles. And I can use this for various purposes, but that comes later. So I repeated this circle and the tiler, but the tiler this time has this random value because it varies the grayness of these circles, and it is going to be less uniform like this. I did a Gaussian blur to it, and I blended with this mask that I have shown you before, just to make sure that the circles only appear in the middle of the doormat. And by the way, this doormat is in the middle of this thing here because the doormat is about twice as wide as the height, and in Material Maker you can only create square textures, but since in my case this is going to be a part of a texture atlas which I baked later, it doesn't really matter that if this has this big nothingness around it. But let's get back to the doormat. So now these circles are masked here. And now I colorize this with this colorize node, and I blend it with this uniform different color here. And I also wanted to add some dirt to it. First dirt is around these circles. So as you may recall, we had this Gaussian blur here. And if I add a tonality to it with this sort of upside down V shape, that it's going to grab only the rims around the circles. And I can mask this obviously with this rectangular mask so that we can have these rims only where it needs. And now I can use this as a mask to blend a dark brown color to be our rim dirt, if you like. But I also wanted to add some more gradual noise or dirt to this almost perfect doormat. And for that I grabbed a warp 1 noise and a dirt noise, and I blended these together. In this way, this dirt noise is a bit unevenly distributed, and I can blend this with a multiply mode, and now in various areas it is become darker. So this dirt is totally non-uniformly on this doormat. But I also want to add some more dirt, but only between the circles. And for that, I created a sharpened. So we got this Gaussian blur. I sharpened it a bit. I inverted this because now circles are black and in between is white. And I mixed it with a blurred FBM noise here. And if I blend this, I got some uneven grayness here, which is totally fine for this other dirt mask. And also I just took only the area that needed, obviously for the doormat, and I grabbed some brown dirt color and I blend that in only to this area here. And with that we got this albedo color for our doormat basically. Now we only have to create the roughness, normal, ambient, occlusion and depth masks. The metallic is 0. There's nothing to do with this because this is a rubber doormat, so there's nothing to do with there. So how can we have a height map for this dirt map? So if we are going to go back to the favorite Gaussian blur node, we can add a tonality to it. and we can blend it with this dirt mask that I had created, because the dirt is higher at some height to the in-between areas. So we get this rectangle here reduced with reduced brightness. And if we use this as a background and blend this guy here with the mask for this tone map, we can get basically a really good height map for our doormat here. And from that, we can easily create a normal map with this normal map node. And also we can calculate the ambient occlusion with this HB ambient occlusion node. And since Material Maker using a depth mask instead of a height mask, we can invert this height map, so that gives us the depth map. If I increase this, you can see that the height of this door map is like quite dramatically increased. So let's go back to this fairly small value here. And so now we've got our height. The theory is that the top of the circles are more smooth than in between. The in between has to be really rough. So it's kind of, the roughness is inverted to the height map. So let's invert first, sorry, let's do a brightness and contrast, because this is not that rough, and invert that. And now we got the roughness value. The circles are less rough, so they are more black. And now the in-between areas are more white, so they are more rough as well. So I kind of hope that you get the idea how did I calculated the roughness value from this height value. So what was interesting for me, how can I export this to Blender and also into Unity? Because obviously in Blender I had to create a mesh and also UV unwrap it to make sure that it fits the texture. And also in Unity I would like to use generally this material, and in Unity I've got three options. I can import it to Unity 3D, which is the Unity Classic, and also the HDRP, which is the high definition render pipeline. So I already did the export and I import it into Unity, or I mean I put the generated data into Unity. As you can see, it notices that it uses the standard shader, which is cool, but we need the URP materials, so convert selected built-in materials to URP. If I click on that, then it converts this into the URP lit shader, which is cool. This uses the metallic workflow, which is nice. But there is one problem with this generated metallic map. Let's create quickly a cube here, and let's put this material here. I don't know how much it visible, but this considers this. You can see that there are weird shininess in this object, even though that it has to be rubber. And that is because this metal smoothness is generated wrongly. So as you can see, I set the metallic to 0, which means that the metallic part's supposed to be black. But if you look at the metal smoothness value, then you can see that the red is fully 1. The alpha is good because it is this value here. So that's fine. So how can we correct it? We are going to go to GIMP, and first we have to choose Components Decompose, RGBA, and decompose to layers. Now it's done that. So let's examine the layer. The red is white, which means it's not good. The green could contain the ambient occlusion, but it's not, it's fine. The blue is empty for the URP, and the alpha is the smoothness of the texture, which is fine. But what we need to correct is the red value here. We have to fill it with black. Compose, sorry. RGB alpha, which is nice. And now hit OK. Now this generate this new texture. So let's export this metal smoothness too. And let's go back to Unity. And now it's okay because now the red is black and the alpha is fine. So let's alter our material with this new metallic map. And as you can see, now it become non-metallic and everything looks pretty awesome, I think. And what's up with this HDRP material? Obviously, we don't have the HDRP shader here, but we can use the URP lit shader here and reassign everything. The height to the height map. The mask map goes to the metallic map and the smoothness, and the mask map goes to the occlusion map as well, and the normal map to the normal map. Oh, why this hasn't put the occlusion? Okay, nice, fine. So let's create another cube here. And now assign the URP material to that as well. And as you can see, we've got the same problem as before. It looks totally metallic because unfortunately this mask map is wrong. So in the mask map, the red is the metallic value, the green is the ambient occlusion, the blue is a detailed map, but we don't have that, and the alpha is the smoothness. The smoothness is fine, the ambient occlusion seems fine, but the red value is not fine. So yet again, we have to go to GIMP, Colors, Components Decompose, RGB Alpha, and just change the red into black, and then Colors, Components Compose, RGB Alpha, and let's save this mask map 3 and export it, replace. And this is important, save color values from transparent pixels. This makes sure that all the layer is going to export it independent of if it's alpha valued or not. And now if we are going to go back, these are just some other experiments here to Unity, and we can check the red channel is black, the green channel is fine, the blue channel is 1, but it doesn't matter because it's just a detailed map. The alpha channel is the smoothness value, which is fine too. And if I assign this to the metallic map and the occlusion map, this new mask map 3, then I've got the same result as with the converted material. So I guess we can say that for Unity, probably exporting to the high definition render pipeline is the best, because the mask map is packs all the metal, the smoothness, and the ambient occlusion as well, which is saves some texture space. And you might ask, what about Blender? So this is what is going to coming up next. So in Blender, I can create a plane, added a principal shader, and I have node wrangler enabled, so I can press Shift Ctrl T. And now I can select the appropriate maps that Material Maker has exported. So let's check the ambient occlusion. It added, but for Blender it doesn't really matters much. And the albedo is going to be the color. And let's go to textured view. So this is how it's looking. The roughness is going to be the roughness. The normal map is going to be the normal map, and also the displacement can be added to the displacement value. It can be used as a bump map, or as far as I know, cycles can even displace if the mesh is high poly, can explicitly displace that high poly mesh with this displacement value. So this is very straightforward setup in Blender. There is no problem here because the metallic texture is not exported, because it's simply we haven't added anything to that metallic map. With that, I hope you have enjoyed this tutorial. If you have any uh, comments to this video, please let me know in the comments below. As I mentioned before, I am a beginner with Material Maker. If you have any hints and tips which can make my knowledge more, then yet again, let me know in the comments below. But I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hopefully learned something from it, and see you in the next one. Goodbye for now.